Some women are simply born rich, confident, and naturally magnetic to their desires. Let's be clear, this podcast is not for them. However, if you're a soul-driven, visionary, or entrepreneurial woman who's been on a mission to learn how to create a better future bursting to come out of you, welcome to my world. I'm Jo Warwick, and this is Rich, Sexy, and Free. I've dedicated most of my career to helping women get to their core power and unlock the missing pieces for their own unique success. You may already know me as the author of The Big Book of Love. With 30 years experience in psychology, embodiment, manifesting, and energetics, we will be exploring together the keys to becoming rich, sexy, and free. So if this excites you, don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite platform so you can stay up to date with the podcast. Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Rich, Sexy, and Free. And I'm Jo Warwick, and today it's one of our intimate sessions. This is going to be seeming a bit controversial because I'm going to state right off the bat, everything is a you problem. In your life, everything is a you problem. Now, this may seem quite activating, like, no, of course it's not my fault. I'm not saying it's your fault, but it is a you problem. If you're wanting to manifest something different, if you're wanting to manifest more, if you're wanting to have a life that's different to where you're at the moment, the only reason you are not living it at this moment is because it's a you problem. It's a you problem because it's about the relationship that you're having with your mind, your body, and your emotional energy and your soul. It's about the alignment of all the wheels going in the same direction. And it's the next step beyond just doing acts of self-love. Absolutely, you should do acts of self-love. You should absolutely have routines and daily practices that get you into caring more about who you are, caring more about your life. But if everything in your life is a place of love, and if you are deeply loved by the universe, deeply loved by the world and life, and you matter because you exist, just as you did as a baby. You were born worthy. You were born enough. You were born lovable. You were born perfect. If that's your state of being and you're not living in that, it's a you problem. And everywhere we want to put it outside of ourselves and seeing that the relationship we have with others, with money, with jobs, with clients, with careers, with building our business, whatever experience we're having, and particularly with our body, with food and all of those things, it's because we are in a knotted and toxic relationship. My relationship with food for a long time, my relationship with my body for a long time was a war zone. So much of my childhood, I remember trying to starve myself and have my fingers down my throat, vomiting and binge eating. When I was running professionally, I was so underweight. I lived on pasta and tinned tomatoes. I was so thin and doing vast amounts of exercise. When I went from that, I controlled in every way the way that I ate. I was either over exercising on some healthy fad. It was all about, I have got to stay small. I was in a fight with my body's desires for pleasure, my desires for more, my desires to be bigger and take up more space, for my desire for life. And I was in a fight with that. And that fight was going on around food and around my body. But of course, it played out in other things. It was the same fight that I had with money. It was the same fight that I had in relationships. I was having a toxic, abusive relationship with my own body. Yes, I can say that things happened to me. I experienced stuff about abuse, and I experienced critical programming, and I experienced being female and all of that programming. Yes, those things did happen. And yet, as I have progressed in my life, as I have known more as a psychotherapist, as I have got older, as I've gone beyond the menopause, all of those things have given me insight to realize the only thing that's ever been in my way is me. It's only ever been a me problem. Every choice that I made was a me problem. Every decision I made was a me problem. not because things didn't happen to me, but when I shifted and accepted, it's only ever about my relationship with that thing, and is it in alignment with love, or is it in alignment with fear and lack and pushing my power away and trying to be in a war zone and fighting and conflicting? My energy, my mindset, my thoughts, they all line up. If the wheels are all going in the same direction, good or good or bad, right or wrong, whatever the direction that they're going in is what you're going to get. And if they're in conflict, that's what you're going to get. So from both sides, when I wanted to be an absolute lack, that's also where I was. But when I have shifted into love, shifted into the letting go and allowing the flow and the fullness and the abundance and everything that I teach, getting back into that flow of I am worthy and I am loved and I am good enough and my existence is precious and my voice is precious and my energy is precious and I am great just as I am and I am my biggest love affair. Every time that I have come into that, I always manifest far more money, far more clients, far more opportunities. My life goes into flow, relationships go into flow, things manifest. When I manifested at the end of last year, out of nowhere, completely suddenly, I manifested being signed by a modeling agency. Now, the biggest part for that, although it was fun and all that wonderful stuff, is the fact that was a reflection to me of how far I had come in my love affair with myself. That how far I come in the acceptance, the unconditional acceptance of my body. For so much of my life, I was the one creating the fight. I was the one doing it to myself. And the moment that I allowed it to be unconditional instead of conditional, because that's the thing. When it's conditional, and there were times in my life I'd say, oh, I love my body, it's great, but I loved my body because I had been on a green smoothie diet and I was slimmer and I was thinner and I was looking great and I was healthy, and yet it was all related to what size I was. What taught me about going through the menopause and accepting the fact that my body is completely different. I have a body that is sensitive. I am sensitive to life, to stuff. I am sensitive to what I eat. So I'm just aware. My nervous system is sensitive. I have a life experiences that meant that I'm always about regulating my nervous system, loving my nervous system. This is a lifelong journey of loving this body and this mind. It's not about perfection. And yet it's not also about conditional love. I will only love myself if I'm feeling good. I will only love myself if I'm thin enough. I will only love myself if I've chose this gold medal or this CEO role or this number of clients or this number of money. And that's where we get to. My book, The Big Book of Love, talks incessantly about unconditional love. And yet I've had to learn over and over and over and over again the areas of my life when I'm actually conditional instead of unconditional. So when we come back to that thought that it's a you problem or a me problem, it's because we're saying, am I being unconditional and am I being conditional? When you are loved and you know that you are loved and it's unconditional as it was when you were born, unconditional, and your relationship with the universe is unconditional. And when your relationship with God, divine, is unconditional, when your relationship with yourself is unconditional, when your relationship with money is unconditional, I receive money unconditionally. That's going to be a new place for you of rich, sexy, and free. When I accept that it's unconditional that I am loved, knowing that I have got to this place of unconditional, I can see it. I see it in the people that I attract, the love affairs, the friendships, the connections, the attraction of people who are attracted to me. It always lines up. And I have repeated this pattern a million times because this is what I teach. I fall in it and I fall out of it. And that's also been my learning, that the unconditional is going, it's okay, it's not a failing, I'm just mastering my skills better. But as I stood there this morning looking at myself in the mirror, actually having come out of swimming, I can still hear the voices. I can still hear the voices that want to tell me I'm too much and too fat and too old and blah, 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 blah. But what we talk about in Rich, Sexy and Free, what we come to, and when we step out and out of that lack of being in control and being in charge and being in empowerment and being the fullness of yourself, is that it's not we're looking for perfection and those things don't happen. It's that we are in control by saying, yeah, but I'm not going to listen to that. Thank you very much. I choose to love myself. I choose to love the body that I've got. To be honest, the fight is exhausting. And when you know and accept that the Everything in your life is in your control by being a you problem, that you can love it just as it is, love it unconditionally. You get to have the power to change it through alignment, yes, through energy, through new thoughts, through new actions, through new acceptance and working with your power. You're no longer wasting it anywhere because you're accepting it's a you problem. It's a you problem, but it's also a you solution, and it's a love solution. It's always comes down to, am I loving this, accepting this, compassionate about this, kind about this, gentle about this, letting go about this, forgiving about this? It's all love. All those ways we can call it, still love. It's just love. That feeling of flow is love. That feeling of abundance is love. That feeling of, I have it all, everything's great, I'm feeling happy. It's all love. When you're in the flow of yourself, when you're in the flow of alignment, when you're in the flow of like embodiment, it's all love because you're loving yourself unconditionally. And when you're not, every sign that your body is telling you, your mind is telling you, when it's telling you you're unworthy, when it's telling you that you're not good enough, when your energy feels confused, when you're getting stuck and you can't seem to bring money in or clients in or a relationship in, or your relationships have gone funky, they're all signs that you're not in the flow of love. You're not in the flow of your own internal love. You're not loving your body. You're not loving your mind. You're not loving where you're at. The energy flow is not happening. You're not in love. And so the frequency that you're putting out to the world is crazy, but it's trying to tell you, your thoughts are trying to tell you, your body's trying to tell you, the world is trying to tell you, reflecting back. You're not in alignment, but get back in alignment. Look to you as the problem and you as the solution, because you're coming back into alignment with your soul, your love, your divine, your universe, yourself. You come back in and everything changes. We live in a world that wants us to be perfect on the outside, but no amount of looking on the outside is ever going to give you what you actually can achieve from the inside when you accept your full power, your full magical power, and your capacity to have not just surface stuff, but deep, rich, satisfying, ongoing, overflowing contentment, joy, riches, abundance. It's sustainable when it comes to the fact that the power is within you. And if you're not seeing it in places and you're still not allowing it to come in, because that's a big place too, if you're not allowing yourself to have the money, to have the clients, to have the business, to have the upgrades, to have the new jobs or the new relationship or whatever, the better relationship, or have the child, have the family, if you're not allowing that to happen, you're also not loving yourself. It's another sign you're not loving yourself. It all comes down to love. Now, this is quite an energetic, quite a high vibe, quite a activating episode today. And that's because I have got an amazing opportunity for you to come and join with us next week on Loved. And Loved is a 3-day mastermind immersion sanctuary where you can come and shift a big misalignment that you have with love, with yourself. Maybe it's with your body, maybe it's with having those clients and that money, maybe it's going to the next level, the career, whatever it is. Whatever part of your life at this moment is feeling really, I want to get that sorted, and you've been looking in all the wrong places and you've been trying to work at it and make it different and it's just not shifting, and you're hearing this, sign up for Loved. It's not about doing more. It's about surrendering to love. It's about coming into that alignment. It's coming into the overflow, and it's shifting it in its correct way by taking that first step to go, this is a you problem, as in this is a me problem. I am the problem, not what's external to me. I am the problem. And we're talking about your world, your creation around you, your life. We're not talking about changing world politics. We're not talking about shifting other people's health and wellness. We're not talking about bigger global things, collective things. We're talking about the power to shift in your world. But the truth as it is in every religious study, if you want to change the world, change yourself. Change your alignment with love, and you will emanate a different frequency. You will connect with a different paradigm. You will connect with a different result, and you will spread love and bring love in. You will receive more abundance and flow more abundance out of you because you're not in a restricted, confused, conflicting war zone. As I shifted into loving and accepting my body, when old Debbie wants to come up and go, oh, you're too much, and oh, you're not looking good enough, and you're getting older, and judge, 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 and just shake them off and go, thanks for showing me where I could love myself even more. Thank you, I get to choose. Thank you, I love myself even more. I am who I am. And I've spent far too much of my life fighting and hurting and criticizing and painfully judging myself and never getting to the outcome that I was chasing for, this idea of perfection. And in fact, every time that I learned to live a rich, sexy, and free life, to live in the deepness of myself, to live in the richness that was available to me, and actually live in the day-to-day rich life experiences, even now when I say to people, they say, oh, what have you done for the last few months? And I'm like, oh, I've been in this country and this country, and I've been up here, and I've been doing these amazing things over here and doing these amazing... And it's so much. But I've been living in a different paradigm. I've been living this rich, sexy, and free life. I've been connecting with amazing people because I've been coming from a place that is abundant. I've been living in an overflow. And I still remember, actually, it was a bit like when I wrote my 2 books, I actually wrote them in a year. And they were published in a year. 2 books. And I remember somebody saying to me when I saw them a year later, and I said, oh yeah, I have 2 books published. And he went, gosh, that's a bit overachieving, isn't it? I hadn't even thought about it. I was just like, it was done. It just overflowed. I was moving on a timeline that was different, quantum timelines. And that's what happens. That's what we're talking about in a rich, sexy, and free life. When you're holding yourself back, judging yourself, life gets fighty and hard and struggly and slow. Manifestations get really slow and they get confused and they're not what you want. But when you expand into love, there's just more room and more space and more time and more sunshine. Just a lot more room to breathe and wonderful interactions with people. You feel fed by life, fed by each experience. I filmed myself making a beautiful brunch this morning. And just like Japanese tea ceremony, which is all about really being present to the making of tea. And it's a meditative practice. For me, making a beautiful brunch for myself, I followed the desire. I went cold water swimming this morning, and then I was like, I'm ready for food. I felt the desire. It was now lunchtime, but for me, that's a nice time for brunch. I hadn't had breakfast. And so I bought all the things that I wanted. Glorious smoked salmon and eggs, and everything's free ranged. It's all ethically sourced and had blueberries. I don't eat bread very often because I can't eat a lot of it, but I do like occasionally to have ciabatta. And it came from a place of love. I wasn't filling something from a place of comfort food. It was like, and I feel myself making the whole experience. I eat the blueberries while I'm doing it. I'm really in the process of the whole thing, and then I enjoy the whole thing. So the making is pleasure, the cooking is pleasure, the buying was pleasure, and then sitting outside in the patio in the sunshine was pleasure. The whole thing was an act of worship of myself, of the food, of the body, of the people who got the food to me. Everything was love. I was loving it. And I thought, gosh, how far I have come. And I celebrated myself. How far I have come. And when you think how little you maybe honor when you eat and when you sit and enjoy your food or honor your time and honor your day, honoring yourself is the next level of truly loving yourself. In my reset program, I talk about how one of the greatest acts of love is to shift time. The way that we rush around is such an act of toxic relationship with time, with ourselves, with our bodies, with our energy. It's a toxic relationship. And so by shifting time, by setting routines is a really great way. But the more that you decide to take charge of time, time slows down because it's a quantum shift. It's a quantum illusion, really. So thinking about yourself today, when you can accept, is it a you problem? Yes, everything is a you problem. If in your life it's not flowing, it's a you problem. So are you willing to move to that acceptance and then take the actions? First, come and join us for the 3 5-day free mastermind immersion and be supported in that collective, in that energy of going, actually, I love myself enough to be there both live or for the replays. It's fine. It's in a Facebook group. Just head on over to richsexyandfree.com. Come join that. The other thing you can do, of course, is sign up for Reset. You can buy that now for $33. It's a digital program, 14 days. I've made it really available for you to experience that reset. And everybody who attended has had a big reset. Oh, my goodness. Deep shifts, big, deep shifts of opening up to life and opening up to love and opening up to more. So you can try that too. Just head on over to Rich, Sexy and Free. Those are the two steps I'm going to invite you to. And the biggest one is to say to yourself, do I have resistance to accepting it's a me problem? I am the problem. Yeah. And that I can actually take that back because I am the solution too. Every solution and answer is already inside of you. It's here and it's ready for you. And am I going to be willing to open up to new levels of love, new levels of abundance and flow and overflow, and allow things to flow because I accept and love and have compassion for myself unconditionally. So I really hope to see you inside of Loved when we kick off on March the 11th to the 13th. So get in now and don't miss out before it kicks off on Tuesday.
It's been great to connect with you today, but before you leave, if you want to find out more about how I can help you personally or check out any of my books, products, or coaching packages, just simply go ahead and visit richsexyandfree.com. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the podcast.